Hello, campers, and welcome back to Camp Comfort Zone. I'm here with my hosts,
Hi guys, it's Eden.
and
Hello, it's Ren. How's it going?
and today we have a special guest on air, a counselor from from our very own counseling center, Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob. How's it going, everyone?
Hi, Jacob.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
And also in spirit, we had an interview with the health center as well that I will also be referencing throughout this episode. There is a blog. There will be a blog up on our blog. There will be a blog up on the Wolf Radio blog after this with a more detailed transcript of the interview. So if you have any more questions or would like to get that information, that will always be available to you afterwards. That being said, the topic of today, due to April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, is safe sex, consent, and boundaries, stuff like that. Because I feel like, especially in college, that's something important that you need to know about and be informed about.
Absolutely. I have heard that the station itself has received many awards for covering incidents related to sexual assault and consent on campus. So it's, in our own back doors of things that people have to deal with every day being at school, which is really scary in itself, but
It's terrifying.
it's good that we're talking about it. That's good.
It is great that we're talking about it, and it's definitely great that we have someone here who. A question that I have, Jacob, is how would you go about talking to somebody who's been through an experience like that? Like,
Yeah, no. So when it comes to someone that's experienced sexual assault, it's very easy for so many traumatic responses from it, and a trauma response doesn't look the same. So when we come to think about trauma is not something that happens to someone, but how they respond to it. On a more lighter example, it'd be like, let's say two people get into a car wreck. Someone might say, "Whew, that was wild," gets right in the car. The other one says, "All right, well, I don't feel safe again. I don't want to ride in a car." It might take some time for them to get back into a car. And when it comes to sexual assaults, that could be the same. Everyone kind of responds to it differently. And especially with trauma, people can respond by, dissociating, isolating. Sometimes they can even become hypersexual. And it's all different ways of responding to a situation that they had no control over, where they were dehumanized, they were violated. And so it's very easy to just kind of fragment. Your mind fragments, and that's kind of trauma. Very light take on the complicated trauma.
What would you say is a good description of being hypersexual? Because I feel like it's commonly misconstrued in the public space.
and funnily enough, romanticized.
Sometimes
Very much
romanticized.
so.
Yeah.
Very romanticized.
Yeah, no. So some examples I've had in the past, and anytime I reference clients, this is someone outside of the school, in other jobs I had. But when it comes to hypersexuality, it can be something just constantly thinking about it, obsessing about it, even self-stimulation, feeling like you can't function without it. It does not mean that you are promiscuous. It doesn't mean that you're sleeping with a lot of people. It just might be on your mind. It might be a motivation. It might be what you think about in relationships.
Right.
And when it comes to hypersexuality, if it's in a healthy environment and you are not hurting yourself or others, it might not be such a terrible thing. We call this a high libido, and
that's normal for people to have
Pretty
varying ranges
Because
of
of libido, yeah, it's just interesting to see how it's so, like I said, romanticized, and people tend to dramatize it in a
Yeah.
way,
oh yeah.
and it's upsetting because it is a genuine response that people have to upsetting scenarios, like you were explaining, and yet it's almost seen as a good, I don't want to say it's not not a good
glorified,
thing.
for
It's
sure.
a good thing. It's not a terrible thing, and it's not a shameful thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that romanticizing a thing that can come from trauma and difficulties with intimacy and sexual assault and stuff like that, and then making it into like she's easy
Mm-hmm.
or she's
I mean,
promiscuous
you
or
said
she's asking
promiscuous,
for
and
it.
like you see that everywhere in the culture. I thought of Promiscuous Girl. I love that song, but it really
Great
does
song.
speak to the way that we talk about these things and what labels we put on people
Yeah.
for how they may react to trauma. There's so much judgment and there's so much shame. It's not something that's rare, is the really, really sad thing about it. Because, like, 1 in 6 women in the U.S. have said that they've experienced some form of rape or attempted rape. And those are your friends, your neighbors, and people can acknowledge that it happens, but because of the rape culture that we have in our society, right, in the US, it's very, very often met with a blame on victims in order to shame them out of like any responsibility on the person that actually perpetuated that act.
Yeah. And it's 1 in 6 women, but it's actually 1 in 4 of any sexual misconduct or assault on campus.
Wow.
And universities. So there was a big initiative when I was here called Protect the Pack, because, you know, a lot of major universities across campus or across America were having a lot of sexual assaults, and very rarely were they reported. And so it was one of those things where it almost became like an epidemic level when you would see so many of these happen at so many different places across America.
Wow.
And kind of the big one is, if y'all ever heard of the story of Brock Turner.
No,
Oh,
I haven't.
yes. Yes. He actually recently was released. He was recently released from prison. Where
I want to say it
was it? Missouri?
I think it was Stanford.
Stanford. That's right. That's right.
But he got a very lenient
A
sentence.
slap on the wrist, essentially.
Pretty much, they were just like, yeah, we don't want you to be in prison too long. You wouldn't last in there. We don't want your life to be ruined by that, even though he was found guilty of sexually assaulting someone, an unconscious girl at college.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I had the privilege to speak to one of the staff members on campus today, Ginny Smith over at the Career Services, who worked at the Prevention and Advocacy Research Center that actually gets a lot of students from West Georgia, who they go when something has happened to them and they're looking for next steps, they're looking for help and guidance about how to handle that situation. And usually the job of people there was to redirect people towards a hospital. If you want to have a test done, that is your right to do that. Or if you want to call the police and make a claim. But the harsh reality of people not feeling safe in reporting these incidents is usually because there's the presence of alcohol, presence of drugs, presence of people being underage, under an influence, behaving irresponsibly. So she assured me that in most cases, there's not going to be any charges held against the underage adult in that situation because there was a crime that was committed that takes precedent over being on any substance. So if there's anybody that's worried about going to the police because you were drunk or because you were behaving irresponsibly, just know that their main priority is to handle those cases and not to punish you for whatever state you were in while that happened. But you have to almost call into question the system itself of continuing to perpetuate what am I trying to say? Continue to perpetuate this standard of people who commit violent acts not being held accountable. Because just like what you just said, we see it through almost every chain of our law enforcement system. Like Brett Kavanaugh. Do you remember his trial that happened before he was put into office where...
He's on the Supreme Court now, right?
Yes. This is a member of the Supreme Court that has like many sexual assault allegations against him. Our own president has like 14, 17 sexual assaults against him. The files.
The files.
Gosh,
The
on top of all of
files
it.
haunt my very
Isn't it crazy
nightmares.
that possession of marijuana lands you like 20 years in jail, but if you rape somebody, you can be president?
So,
Wow.
All right.
So, when it comes to like on the college level, no, you're absolutely right. I would like to think that, here at West Georgia, we very much want to keep you safe, no judgment. Have y'all ever heard of Title IX?
I've heard of it. I don't
Heard of
know
it. I don't
what it
know
is.
Think of this as an extra resource. They can help you out. They pretty much, if you go to the police station, if you come to us and you report this, you have the option to go to Title IX, which is on Front Campus Drive. But this is another great option to give you resources, help you out. And just one extra thing for our students, and we like to think that, perpetrators are these like, just one day they're just like, I want to take advantage of someone. I want to assault someone. And it's never just that. It's always something called a cognitive distortion, a stinking thinking, where, I mean, if you ever heard the phrase like, she's playing hard to get.
Yeah.
No, she said no, and that's it. Well, what was she wearing? It does not matter.
The
Right?
cognitive distortion is such an interesting word because it does
Yeah.
put those sort of reasonings that people do around this topic, around sex and how we go about it, it is very distorted. And I think that comes from cultural normalization of people saying, oh, well, if a boy likes you, he's going to pull your pigtails, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a
If
lot of misinformation.
The whole if a boy likes you, he'll be mean to you, he'll bully you. There's no form or like there's no evidence for that. And even if that was the case, why are you teaching your son that violence is the way to get a girl to like you or to say to someone that they like you? It's just insane. And I think
That kind of goes along with the phrase, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but that kind of goes with the phrase, like, boys will be boys.
Boys will
right?
be
Boys will be
Mhm.
boys.
which is definitely something
I've
that
heard
we could talk
that
about.
so many times growing up,
I-
and it's one of the worst phrases. Like,
Nice
'cause it
guys
feels
finish
One of the
last.
worst.
it's
Oh my
like so
gosh.
dismissive because it's just like, oh, that's just a normal thing to do. It shouldn't be.
It's not.
Like,
It's definitely not. And I feel like we got a lot out. I really like the start that we had today with this conversation. Talked about a lot of heavy stuff. Another bit of a heavy episode like last time. So let's take a moment to just pause, get some levity, and go into a happy hour.
we're still live, Cairo.
We're still live, Kyra.
Hi, Kyra.
What's up?
Hi, TriCaster.
Hi,
That was our
TriCaster.
TriCaster.
That was our TriCaster.
Anyways,
But
happy hour.
it is
What are
happy
some
hour.
short victories that are like some victories we've had this week?
I want to say that to keep it to theme, I want to say that a happy thing that I like on campus is the resources we have when it comes to sexual assault and pregnancy prevention, safe sex. Like the interview that I plan to reference for the
Can I interject one thing? It's just a quick shout out. I pinky
Yes.
promise. Shout out to the health center last semester. They had like a couple tables set up in the TLC with just free condoms and whatnot.
yes,
that's
they did.
amazing.
Like,
Speaking
That's
of the
right.
health
Oh, I missed
center,
it.
And they just let you grab as many as you want. I think I still have like 8 or 9 in my bag.
There's
Like,
okay.
Speaking of the health center, that is once again who we interviewed for this episode. We have their interview. Like I said, it will be over on our blog after this episode. They provided great answers that I plan to reference in our next topic section about safe sex, pregnancy prevention, STI and STD testing, HIV misconceptions.
Mhm.
Karrie Gilroy is the person who answered all of her questions, and she is an amazing person.
awesome.
I believe she actually is the sexual assault advocate over at the health center or something along those lines. I know she deals with that
shout out
case.
to her.
Shout out to Karrie Gilroy. She's doing God's work. She's amazing. She's a wonderful woman to talk to. Incredible. I loved speaking with her. I loved talking to her. I think that it's great that we have that. The health center is there for you. Counseling center is also there for you. They are also open throughout the summer with virtual
Absolutely.
interviews.
Virtual and in person. Where
Virtual and in
office is still
person.
going to be open.
We, at the end of the day, we do have staff here that want to see you succeed and that want to see you better. Because as we've talked about before, college does have that rap of being like a hub of parties, of drinking, of drugs, of
Oh, there's literally a party happening at the Greek Life at the same time as Wolfstock tonight.
yeah. We have that.
So
we
be
have-
safe out there.
Be safe out there. Drink responsibly. We are speaking of Wolfstock. Wolf Radio presents Woolstock 2026. Come enjoy live music, food, games, and more. Today, Thursday, April 9th, from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Campus Center Ballroom. You do not want to miss out on the biggest concert of the year. Woolstock 2026 is brought to you by Monster Energy, Westwood Apartments, Dine West, Flagship Carrollton, Illuminated Productions, and Oisier Apparel. So if you have the time after you listen to this to stop by and have some free pizza, free nachos, free drinks, free monsters. And listen to some good music by some people that you might know because they're local to us. Discovering a new artist as well. We have Bliss, Princess, Ziggy the Artist,
Adamson Avenue.
Adamson Avenue, Edie, Luna Wire, and so much to just experience. It'll be a fun time, and we generally really do hope to see you there.
Yeah. For my happy hour, I was going to say there's a colorful rainbow of condoms above the first aid kit in the sculpture room.
Wow.
It's really beautiful.
I wonder how long that took.
Speaking of condoms, we finally threw out the bag of expired ones
No.
in the
They
studio.
expire. That's right.
They were
They do
expired.
expire.
Be very mindful of
The
that.
the
Yes.
rubber can wear out over time due to the lubrication on the pre-lubricated ones. So
Terrible.
make sure that they are in date when you use them,
Exactly.
because we don't want any mishaps.
We do not want any mishaps.
Yeah. Also, get tested. Nobody wants to get tested.
Get
Please
tested.
get tested.
And we will definitely talk about more of safe sex and pregnancy prevention right after some awesome music. Hello, campers. Welcome back to Comfort Zone. Today, right now, we're going to be talking a little bit more about safe sex, pregnancy prevention, something that we kind of touched on in our earlier segment. And right now, I have our interview with the health center pulled up that I will be, like I said, cross-referencing throughout this segment.
Shout out Health Center.
Shout out Health Center, which, by the way, you can go get tested at the Health Center.
Oh,
They
really?
have that. You can go get birth control at the Health Center.
Oh.
They provide a lot of stuff for you,
Yeah, and
as always.
there's
Is
a
it
common
free?
misconception about birth
It
control
is.
that
It's not free, but the Health Center is very cheap. You can get over-the-counter medication for free. Your
Yes.
prescriptions will be no more than like $5 to $10 to $20. They're very good about, and your appointments will probably be like in the $10 to $30 range. It's not expensive to go there at all. And if you don't have the money right then and there, they can add it to your student account and you can pay it later.
They also have different pricings. So, chlamydia and gonorrhea price is $45, an HIV test is $20, and syphilis test is $15.
That's cheaper than you'll get it at a conventional doctor's
being charged
office.
to your student account is a real win.
As said, taking care of, there is no shame in taking care of yourself. One of the biggest messages from the health center is simple. There is no reason to feel ashamed about going to health services. Taking care of your physical, mental, or sexual health is a responsible and empowering decision. The staff are there to help, not judge. The concerns students bring in are more common than they think. It is okay to feel nervous or unsure. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. You deserve to feel supported, informed, and safe when it comes to your health.
Part of information is knowing that birth control does not cause infertility, guys. People
It
think
does
that for some
not.
reason. I don't
And
know.
birth control is not 100% effective. There is no form of birth control beside a hysterectomy that is 100% effective.
I know of a form of birth control that is not only 100% reversible, but also 100%.
Is it a vasectomy?
It is a vasectomy.
That's right.
Wow. Maybe we should do that more if it works so well.
It works
You would think.
incredibly well,
You
Yeah,
or so I've been told.
vasectomies are a great thing. When it comes to birth control, you can also get them at the health center. They cost $10 per month, and you can get up to 6 packs. So even if you're going to be gone for the summer, you can also get
You
birth
said
control.
$10 per month, and
Yep.
you said you get 6 packs for
packs.
that $10.
You can
or
get up to 6
Up
packs
to
at
6
a time.
packs, okay.
So I want to say on the website it's pretty much saying I think a pack is a month.
Okay, so 1 pack is about a month.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
But-
a really good deal. That's
yeah,
great.
that is an incredible deal. You can
Yeah.
always get prescriptions out to the health center as well. So if you have an appointment, the health center practices discretion in the same way that the counseling center does.
Yes.
So your parent couldn't call up to the health center and be like, "What did my kid go to your services about?" They're not going to tell them, because the same way the counseling center is not going to tell them, because
also,
it
they
is your
have
body.
Plan B there too.
That's right.
very useful.
And you don't need a prescription for it. And they also have a consultation room or a confidential counsel room to help you when you need a Plan B pill.
And even if you are not sexually active, staying informed about pregnancy prevention is very important, not only for your safety, but as we said before, with the world that we live in, unfortunately, whether or not to take that step and have sex, that might not be your choice at any given moment, and it is a pressing thought. So if for your sense of security, being on birth control or an IUD or an RN implant is what you want to pursue, that is also a valid option. Yes, Ren.
I would like to point out, I know this was more of a last topic thing to say, but women aren't the only people that can be raped.
It's
There's a significant amount of men or male presenting people that get raped all the time, and it's kind of glossed over simply because there's just a bias that
I think you liked it or didn't.
Yeah.
There is a teacher currently being prosecuted for having sexual relations with one of her students. There are teachers who have been prosecuted for having relationships with 12 and 13-year-old male students.
the way you even said that just now, I guarantee you that was just remembering a headline you read, right? The way those headlines are written are also just kind of toning down what happened. like, oh, a teacher had sexual relations with one of her students. No, that teacher raped her student because
Exactly. They use that
the
all the time with politicians too.
the
where
student, like, in the headline I'm remembering, the student was not of age to consent to, sexual activities with a woman of that age. So that's statutory rape is what it is.
Right.
It's not a case of, oh, this teacher had sex with. No, this teacher took advantage of one of her students.
Yeah, a lot of cases with male sexual assault are very underreported because there's, once again, a culture of disbelief of people saying like, oh, well, why would you complain about that? Like, that didn't happen to you. Like, it doesn't. I think we could sit here and posit that it has to do with false ideas that we have about what is a healthy level of like libido that would make it normal for you to want to engage in sexual behavior as much as possible. But, consent works both ways. And I feel like the idea of like, oh, well, you probably wanted it can definitely sit on both sides of the aisle. Like
It can definitely sit on both, and especially I feel like a lot, while female victims aren't believed, male victims especially aren't believed, because especially when the Me Too movement was starting, every
with
single
Weinstein and everything.
and with
Yeah.
every single male celebrity or male like who spoke up about being sexually assaulted, it always came with well, you're big or you're strong or you're this or you're that. Like, how did you get
Why didn't you
raped?
stop them?
Why didn't you stop them?
Right.
And it's almost like people forget inebriation, being
Or
drunk,
roofied. I
or
mean, that's
roofied,
huge.
or people forget.
Or
It's
simply
like
just being manipulated into thinking that you want that when you don't.
it's not
Also,
impossible.
freezing is a normal trauma response. You might fight, where you try to fight it, flight, try to run away, but freezing, like a deer in the headlights, is completely common. That's why the argument she didn't say no or he didn't say no. Freezing in those moments is a very common trauma response.
It is a very common
Isn't
trauma
fawning kind of in the similar category?
Yeah, so-
where like you say yes just because you're afraid that the person is going to be upset.
Yeah, that's coercion. That's
Yeah.
manipulation.
Control.
And yeah, fawning can also be like, you don't want to do this. You don't. You deep down don't want to do this. You're trying to talk your way out of it. Yeah, no. South Park made a episode about how a kid reported, one of the boys reported having sex with a female teacher, and all the cops are going, nice.
Yeah.
It has been, SNL has made jokes about boys having sex with their female teachers and how awesome that is. And yeah, I've had people say like, there's no way a guy can get raped. There's no way. And it's so hard too when if it's a male on male, well, if you report that, you're going to be accused of being gay and seen as a terrible thing. Even though, men who prey on young boys, it doesn't mean that they are a gay man. They are just sexually attracted to prepubescent boys. And so it's just one of those things where you have so stacked against you so bad. And even, I'm going to sound old back in my time, but the Michael Jackson trials.
Right.
No way these boys were going to stand a chance against the king of pop. And when he was found innocent, when he passed away, now that we're in this time and age,
especially with the files coming out.
Yeah.
And I remember that when we were when the music was playing, we had a conversation about false reports and people reporting incidents that did not happen. And now that you brought it up, it made me remember the files and how those basically revealed that Michael Jackson was in fact innocent and that he was more of a sanctuary for those children rather than perpetuating that violence. And it made me think about how so many times you can, it's why reporting is such a double-edged sword, and it's why people don't do it until years later and they have the confidence to. You're either believed or you're not.
yeah.
Or it's why people have their guards up at parties. The whole, I would trust you with my drink, I wouldn't trust you with my drink. something like that. The man versus the bear argument that was prevalent on the internet for so long, and people
Yeah.
got so butthurt about it that people, that mainly women, chose the bear when going into the forest.
Oh, the man versus bear argument.
The
Don't
man
get me
versus
started.
the bear.
It is so controversial, and I understand why women feel safer with the bear because of usually like a big difference with our modern age of internet and technology is that we have better recorded histories of everything that has happened.
Yeah.
So if you get something on your record saying this person did that thing, you are by via being on the internet, you are always looking at the statistics of how frequently people are assaulted, and you can't help but form an opinion as if all men are behaving that way. And I know that this is the episode about sexual assault, but men can be sexually assaulted too.
Exactly.
Thereby, it wouldn't be fair to equate a man to a bear because they are also running from the bear.
It's definitely a very stance, but before we get into our music, I do want to say that something that I also saw a lot was that in response to people saying it, I see a lot of like people talking about dystopian realities, dystopian topics, and a large consensus that I see, especially from a lot of women, is that they would rather die to the apocalypse than trust themselves around the humans that live through it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very telling thing of how, especially if you've ever watched a zombie apocalypse show, The Walking Dead, The Last of Us, you know for a fact that at least one time in the show, they have those scenes in it. They have to. It's almost like by the book at this point. And it's unfortunate that they are, but I think that's more of a thing to be discussed later on in another segment.
You know, Jordan, it's funny because I almost entirely forgot about the scene in The Last of Us until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah, I try
I-
to block that from my memory.
I'm sitting here trying to remember, and I was like, oh, I
Hey,
do.
you wanna know
yeah,
what-
I do.
You want to know what else I try not to block from my memory?
Yeah?
This amazing music.
Oh, you're doing so great with your segues into the music segments.
Thank you. back, campers, to a cozy campfire and a comfort zone. This segment we are going to discuss. Before we get into the segment, I would like to point out another thing that I think we also need to boost in this country is our literacy rates. Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to help reduce the 21% of adults with low literacy skills. We are collecting new and gently used books for every UWG pre-K student monthly. Give today by visiting thewolfuwg.com/book drive. That's thewolfuwg.com/book drive. Because I think another thing that can also help in not only consent, pregnancy prevention, and to also prevent sexual assault cases is education and being able to educate yourself, because that is the best weapon you can have against anything is education. And kids can't learn that education if they don't have the literacy rates too. Also, I know a lot of states practice abstinence. So it's like if you're not doing it, you shouldn't be doing it, so you don't need to know about it. That's also a big driving factor into a lot of that stuff. So, once again, we are donating books. It is so good to boost those literacy rates. The best thing a child can be is educated.
Very nice.
All right. So over the break, our Mr. Counselor himself, Jacob, asked to take the reins. So take it away.
Yeah. So let's talk about consent. You know,
I consent to that.
I consent to that.
I consent to that. You have my consent.
we're already a great start. Hey, when we think of consent, you know, the big one is like consent to be sexual with someone. But I feel like it's so important for us to ask consent when it comes to any physical touch. Even on my first date with my wife 10 years ago, I asked her if I could hug her goodbye when I walked her to her car. And I think that's so important to ask if you can hug them, if you can kiss them, if you can do anything that kind of crosses that physical bubble.
Because not everyone's comfortable with that.
Yes.
Not everyone's comfortable with that. And to add something to that a little bit, something that me and Ina were talking about over lunch is that consent can be retracted at any point in time.
Yep.
And it's not a bad thing that if you do it, no matter how far in you get to it, you can retract that consent. It's also entirely possible to finish the act and then realize that you didn't actually want it. The amount of times we as people have done something that we thought we'd enjoy and we thought that we'd want, and then afterwards we regretted it and didn't want it, is astonishing. And that shouldn't be something shameful to talk to your partner about or your sexual partner and be like, hey, I don't think I was comfortable with that. I don't feel like I was ready for that in any way, shape, or form. Can we not do that again for a while?
There's a there's a thing that happens when you can give consent to something and not understand fully what you're getting into and still receive trauma from said event. Like consent is basically not a band-aid that negates anything bad from happening. It also is heavily dependent on people being tuned in with the other person. That's why we emphasize enthusiastic consent so importantly, because you have to be aware of what that person is feeling, what their body language is, what they're telling you. Are they in a good state of mind? Are they even conscious? For, just start with the basics. But one of my favorite metaphors that I've seen is offering somebody a cup of tea.
A sleeping person does not want tea.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's good.
Like, do you want this cup of tea? Are we going to share it together? No, because you're asleep. Okay.
Like, do you want this cup of tea? I don't really want a cup of tea right now, but I made this tea for you. I went through so much effort to make this tea for you. Don't you want this tea?
I really want you to have this tea.
Well, now that you said it like that, now that you put it like that and you put in so much effort, okay, I think I want the tea. That's not consent.
If you love me, you'd have this tea.
There's another metaphor.
Well,
that
you
I
wanted
saw.
tea earlier.
Like, there's
Oh,
another
yes.
metaphor
You've
that
had
I
tea
saw
before?
that I really like. If I really quickly, a metaphor that I saw that I really like. If I have $20 and I put it in my purse, and you ask me for $20, and I say you can have $20, and I hand it to you, that is consent.
Yeah. Don't
If-
take $20 out of the purse.
Yeah, if you ask me for $20 and I say, maybe you can have $20, and so you take that as a yes, and then you reach into my purse and take my $20, that's not consent.
Exactly.
I think it's also important. Arousal does not equal consent. if they're like, oh, I can tell they are. No, they have to agree to it. And even like the lighter stuff, right? Like when we talked about consent of like crossing someone's like physical space, it's not a like where my hug at, no,
Yeah,
it's like, but some great things we can say, like instead of being like, do you want to have sex, is while you're in the act is, are you okay with this?
are you comfortable with
Are you
this?
comfortable? Hey, you can stop it
At no
anytime.
point in
No,
time.
I was going to say consent can be a part of the experience by
Yeah.
being like, if you're checking in at every step of the way
Yeah.
and talking about it, that's going to make the other person feel more comfortable. That's going to create a safe environment.
Yeah.
Like, we have to talk about, why would you want to have sex with someone that doesn't want to have sex with you? Like, it's
Yeah.
not good. Like, if you want that, then talk to that person, get to know them, like see what they're comfortable with, and you'll have a better experience.
No, that's, you nailed that on the head. And it's so important for us to always be mindful of like body language. If maybe your partner is, y'all are like, you're in the moment, you're feeling good, and let's say they freeze. Let's say they get quiet. Let's just say they are just kind of a immediate change of pace. It's okay to just stop and just check in with them. And I promise you that's going to be so much better. Like, you're right. When both people are consenting to it, it's a very powerful way to show that you care about them, you respect them, and that's going to be like, that's how you like reinforce, you galvanize a relationship. But if you are crossing your, I know we didn't touch much about today, but boundaries. If you're crossing your partner's boundaries, that's when a sexual act, which is supposed to be one of the most human things ever, becomes dehumanized. You are objectifying them, not subjectifying the experience, and that is what erodes relationships. From
I
the
think
inside.
that's very well stated,
Yeah.
Jacob. I
think
think
it
that's
is
really
too.
good, and I really wish we had more time. But
I
we have
really
some
did
lovely
too.
folks coming up
Um,
after us by the name
I
of
want to
Afternoon
say
Growl.
afternoon growl
Yeah.
before we say we say goodbye and we get in our sleeping bags. We all say bye bye. Um, Again, there will be a blog post up after this episode with our full interview from the health center. So please go there, get some information about STI, STD testing, HIV, all that sort of stuff will be included in our blog post. Once again, consent is the foundation of a relationship. It is everything that you could need. I believe there is another thing you wanted to bring up, Jacob, really
Yep.
fast.
Just want to plug in real quick. UWG is doing a Take Back the Night masquerade for change. It's scheduled for April 14th, 2026,
Yes.
from 7 to 10 at the Grassy Triangle. It's going to be an event that really aims to raise awareness of sexual assault and support survivors. It's part of the April Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and you can also find that on Wolf Connect.
Exactly. So attend that if you feel so inclined. Remember, our UWG Health Services, our UWG Counseling Center, and Advocacy, I believe,
Mhm.
are always there to help you and support you. You belong here. Do not let someone rip that experience from you.
And what's that thing you always say, Eden?
You're right where you belong.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye,
You
guys.
guys have
Bye,
a great day.
guys.
Bye.